Hello, everyone, and welcome to one of the best-known racing circuits in the world, Monte Carlo, in the Principality of Monaco, in round 5 of the FIA Formula 3000 International Championship for 2002. I'm Bob Varsha, along with David Hobbs. You see the grid being cleared as we continue to bring you the FIA Formula 3000 season for 2002 on tape in preparation for live or same-day coverage in 2003. Take us around, David.
Well, the jewel in the crown, I guess, of road racing anywhere. The streets of Monte Carlo, very narrow, very hilly, up and down a lot, and obviously nowhere to go if you make a mistake. Very difficult to overtake on. As you can see, some incredibly tight hairpins down there at the old station hairpin portier. Then, of course, the tunnel. Under the tunnel in the pitch dark at 160 mile an hour, down to chicane, through Tabac, swimming pool, Raskas, up the start-finish line, and Sandervoort uphill all the way. It's a very tricky course, Bob.
Beautiful day for a race. See the field preparing to roll off on the reconnaissance lap, final lap before the lights go out, and we are underway. Gorgeous day in the Principality. Last year for this particular layout, before extensive plans to renovate this circuit and provide the teams, not only the F3000 teams, but of course the Grand Prix teams, with a little bit more working room in a circuit that's been likened to holding a prize fight in a telephone booth. There is very little room to maneuver here in Monte Carlo. Field makes its way up the hill toward Casino Square. While they do, let's take a look at the starting grid. On pole position for round 5, Sébastien Bourdais of France with the Supernova team, his 4th pole in 5 races in 2002. He'll be next to Rodrigo Sparaffico, knocked out of the lead in the championship in the previous round in Austria. Row 2, Freisacker and Tocacello, who had a great battle in that race at the A1 ring. Row 3, David Salins with European Minardi still looking for his first points. Bjorn Wertheim, starting alongside, was a part of that Arden International 1-2 finish in Austria, headed by his teammate Thomas Enga, who will start on row 4. Mario Haberfeld and Antonio Pizzonia on row 5. Both men accustomed to being front runners. As you take a look down through the rest of the grid, Thomas Engi is tied with Giorgio Pantano, who will start on the inside of row 7 for the lead in the championship by 1 point over Rodrigo Sparaffico. So still a very tight championship as we begin the second third of the 2002 season. It's going to be interesting to see some of these camera positions that we're so used to watching Formula One cars in around Monte Carlo, David. But we'll have the unfamiliar colors and helmets of the Formula 3000 stars. It's all coming your way in a moment here on Speed Channel. We'll take a break and return for the start of round 5 of the Formula 3000 Championship. Welcome back to round 5 of the FIA Formula 3000 International Championship on the streets of Monaco. I'm Bob Varsha, along with David Hobbs. Sébastien Bourdais from the Supernova team is on pole as we prepare for the lights.
A lot of tension for these guys, because these are racing before all the top Formula One teams in the world, and they want to make a good job. It's so difficult in these narrow streets.
Never was a start more important than in Monte Carlo, and Sébastien Bourdais gets a beautiful one, as did Rodrigo Sparaffico, who slots into second as they head through Sandervoort.
Sandervoort, a scene of many calamities, including our own Martin Brundle many years ago. Up the hill through Beau Rivage, this little left-hand kink, very fast.
They made it through cleanly. I hope the Formula One drivers were watching.
This is Casino Square. There's the casino in the background. One of the most famous corners in all of racing, down to Mirabeau. Tight right-hander, always people trying to overtake there. David Salins there getting pushed up against the guardrail. This is the Lowe's hairpin. Very, very, very tight downhill corner. One of the tightest corners in all of racing.
Two teammates, Haberfeld.
Ooh, cars backing up. They're almost come to a station. This is through Portier, this right-hander which leads into the tunnel, and you have this absolutely unique experience of going through the tunnel there. Out of the tunnel, down to the chicane.
Very different engine note rattling off the walls of that tunnel under the hotel, once known as the Lowe's, now the Grand Hotel. So through Tabac, French for tobacco. The product sold by a shop on that corner. Mentioning the two Team Astromega teammates in white. Rob Nguyen and Mario Haberfeld.
This is Raskas, a tight one. That's the restaurant to be in there. Right behind there on that Vodafone is a restaurant where you can eat right while the races are going on. This is the Anthony Nogues corner. Funny name, but also a tight corner onto the straight, or sort of a straight, goes past the part of the pits.
And the Royal Box, the House of Grimaldi that has ruled this principality for some 700 years.
Boy, Sebastian Bourdais making a tremendous...
Of you about my age, and now they kind of call it the Grand Hairpin. Who knows?
I call it the station hairpin, which is what it was when I raced there, because the station was there.
And you have every right to do so. Sebastian Bourdais pulling away, as you mentioned, David. Now, he would be dominating this season. He has one victory along with his 4 poles in 5 races. Could have won in Barcelona, Spain, but went off the road late in the race while leading. Wound up third.
Yep. Only about half a lap to go. Slid off the road under pressure from Giorgio Pantano, who had been pressuring the whole race. And talking about pressure, look at this battle here for 5th spot there. David Salins in the Minardi, really giving Tocatello in the Coloni car a very tough run through the streets here. But it's so difficult to get around people.
It's more through Saint-Devote. Beautiful old chapel behind that camera position where Princess Grace and Prince Renier were married many years ago.
As you can see, some great spectator spots here, great viewing spots. Not cheap. There's the old the bar on the left there, the tip-top bar, just where that road goes over that pedestrian crossing.
The Mirabeau corner down to the hairpin.
Everybody's being very civilized. Haven't seen any contact with any guardrails or with any wheels yet.
The Portier swinging along the harbor front under the hotel. It's the entrance to the hotel parking garage on the driver's right. Flashing back out into the sunshine. Nice camera work there from our host broadcasters following race leading Sebastian Bourdais. Now around the swimming pool, this is the part of the race course that will change as the circuit is remade. That section and under the trees to the left. Another look at the start in slow motion.
Boy, everybody did a great job filing through Saint-Devote. As you can see, it's pretty tight. It's relatively wide, but if you go too wide there, you can't get back in again. But everybody keeping their heads admirably there. Freisacker Tocatello really continuing where they left off just a week ago in Austria, having a race-long duel for 5th spot.
No, that's Giorgio Pantana tied for the championship coming in. It appears his race is over down in Rascasse. Trying to clip the steering wheel back on as the drivers are required to do. Let's see if we can see what happened.
I think he clipped the guardrail with the inside rear wheel there as he came round La Rascasse. I thought he was clipped first. I thought he'd been clipped by another car, but because the car gave quite a jump.
And there's David Salins climbing out of the European Minardi.
Now, did he clip him when he was spinning around?
I wonder.
Because they were awfully close together.
This is down at Saint-Devote, so Salins got down the start-finish straightaway before having to pull off for whatever reason. But there is the damage. Pantano, co-leader in the championship, finished. We'll be back in a moment to the streets of Monte Carlo. Stay with us. Welcome back to the streets of Monte Carlo in round 5 of the FIA Formula 3000 Championship here on Speed Channel. Bob Varsha and David Hobbs with you as the field climbs the hill to Casino Square. Now, while we were in break, this was Nicolas Chiesa clipping the barrier on the exit of the Anthony Nogues turn. Now, Chiesa appears to be on track despite that substantial clout to the left side of the car.
A heck of a clout, wasn't it?
Amazing.
Very quick there, accelerating out of that corner, and they get so close to the wall all the time, but he gave it a substantial belt.
Well, that's the thing about Monte Carlo. The Armco is right there at curbside. There is no runoff whatsoever before you hit something.
Absolutely no room at all. Plenty of boats. There's the Arden cars in 5th and 8th, and the 2 Petrobar cars behind them. So the 2 Arden cars, of course, 1st and 2nd in Austria just a week ago.
Cars look plenty fast, don't they? Sebastian Bourdais took pole at 1 minute 28.258 seconds. The Grand Prix pole is held this weekend by Juan Pablo Montoya in the Williams BMW at 1:16.676, a 12-second differential.
Boy, around this track, still yellow flags down there for the car of Pantano. It's stuck in gear and they can't get, the neutral button's not working, so they can't get the thing moved. Sebastian Bourdais, the fastest lap there.
Need a crane down in that corner to winch the car out of the way.
Two Arden cars, two Petrobras cars.
Bourdais just pulling away at will from Speraffico. The gap now almost 2 seconds as they swing through Poitiers and onto the harbor side, under the hotel. On board with the race leader.
The swimming pool curves.
Six-speed sequential gearbox. This is Rescas.
The corner that Chiesa just clipped. Great shots there.
Absolutely.
Terrific. Up Beau Rivage. This is Massenet, a long left-hander here. As you can see, totally blind and unsighted all the way around in, and jump into Casino Square. Over the pedestrian crossing, and over another pedestrian crossing. Pulling out just a little bit now on Speraffico in the Durango car. Ooh!
That looks like the car of the race leader. It's actually his Supernova teammate, Diego Monteiro of Portugal. Winds up clouding the wall. That looked like he might get away with it for a second.
It did look pretty good there. Just took the front wing off, unfortunately, for him. Mind you, a spin here is hard to get the thing back. Gives you an idea what it's like going into the tunnel. There's plenty of light in there now. Down to the chicane. Where before the days of guardrail, Ascari and Paul Hawkins both went into the harbour there.
A scene made famous in the movie Grand Prix.
Both climbing out unscathed and ironic. Whoa!
Pass for
here
second
we see
place.
a pass for second space.
Good move.
Good move there, coming off the swimming pool complex. Not an easy place to pick to he must have...
I think Speraffico has a problem.
Yeah.
Now he's passed again. That was Patrick Freisacker who went by. Now Enrico Tocacello goes by. So there are problems for the Brazilian, and he heads for the pit lane. So problems for the third place man in the championship. We'll be back to Monaco in a moment. Welcome back to the streets of Monte Carlo in round 5 of the FIA Formula 3000 International Championship. I'm Bob Varsha with David Hobbs looking down from the hairpin. Those are the Petrobras Junior teammates, Ricardo Speraffico, and ahead of him, Antonio Pizzonia. Now, while we were away, this was Zolt Baumgartner running 15th, and he spun into the trackside wall. There's his car being pushed away.
Pretty substantial belt. That was at the same place. That was at the Anthony Nogues corner. And there we see
Nicholas
Chiesa locking up. He's the guy that clipped it before, but still seems to be running all right, but he's locked up now going down the escape road at Saint-Devat. We've seen Michael Schumacher do that and go on to win the race.
That's right. And this is Thomas Enger, who was running 4th at the time, straight lining the harborside chicane. So back to the battle between the Petrobras Junior teammates. Pizzonia leading. Ricardo Speraffico, twin brother to Rodrigo Speraffico, but running somewhat in his twin shadow, as Rodrigo led the championship for several rounds this year. Ricardo trying to make his name. We have 6 cars out of the race: Pantano, Salins, Montero, Wertheim, Speraffico, and Baumgartner. Alex Mueller chasing Ricardo Mauricio on the run down to the Mirabeau round of the championship. Thomas Enge and Giorgio Pantano were tied for the championship lead. Pantano is now out of the race. Enge is running in the points. Rodrigo Sperafico was third. Sebastian Bourdais fourth. He took pole and is leading the race is Bourdais. Mario Haberfeld fifth and Bjorn Wertheim sixth. Wertheim out of the race.
Ricardo Mauricio starting to get a bit sloppy here under this extreme pressure from Alex Muller. He's locking up now as he went into the chicane a couple of turns back. Starting to get fairly desperate because Muller is right behind him. And right behind him is Rob Duen in that white car.
Astromega. All of the drivers running the same combinations. Lola chassis, V8 Zytec engines making about 460 horsepower, and Avon tires.
Up the hill.
Good run for Nguyen again. Keep in mind, very inexperienced young driver of Vietnamese parentage. Australian by nationality, lives in Austria.
Top for the old marshals.
Oh, yeah. Not as bad as when the Formula One cars were there, however.
They make some serious noise.
Oh.
This is a terrific battle, this trio.
Run down to Tabac. Very quick part of the racetrack here. Threading the needle, as you saw earlier on Sebastian Bourdais' onboard camera. For a moment there, you almost saw Ricardo Mauricio throw it away.
Muller's got the nose of that car right under the back wing of Ricardo Mauricio.
That's Mario Haberfeld, Astromega teammate to young Rob Nguyen, coming up to the tail of this group of four. 16
Mario
laps
Haberfeld,
complete.
Of course, finished third just a week ago in Austria.
Into Casino Square.
That's 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Battles continue all around this great racetrack. We'll be back in a moment to the streets of Monte Carlo. Welcome back. Early in the second half of round 5 of the FIA Formula 3000 International Championship. There goes your race leader and pole sitter here in Monte Carlo, Sebastian Bourdais, who has a massive lead on the field. You see a car being pulled out of the way.
That's Alex Sperafico's Minardi, I think. That's just before Tabac.
Ricardo Mauricio and Alex Mueller, and the German Mueller getting very impatient right up the gearbox of the Brazilian. Now this was a three-way battle earlier. The other driver was Rob Nguyen, Vietnamese Australian. He is no longer there, and there's a reason for that. His car is in the pits. That's Mario Haberfeld in the other white car, who was also a part of that battle.
These two seem to have pulled away a little bit from Haberfeld, who was right with them behind his teammate Nguyen, who is now apparently out of the race in the pit lane. We don't know what's happened to his car, but these two are just having a terrific dice through these intricate twisting streets of Monte Carlo. A lot of light and shade, which makes life difficult. It's difficult to judge distances properly as you go in and out of those heavy shade and bright sunshine.
Lots of tinted visors up and down the field.
Mid-afternoon, so the shadows are not long, but they're getting long, so the sun is starting to get down as they come out of the tunnel. The sun will be pretty much to the driver's right front.
On the harbor front, around the swimming pool. These are the Petrobras Junior teammates, Pisonia and Sperafico. Now back to the battle between Mauricio and Mueller. Excuse me, could you move some of these multi-million-dollar yachts so we could better look at the race cars?
So we can see better?
Oh, how inconvenient. And don't plan on boarding any of those boats without taking your shoes off. Believe me, I've tried. As we watch this battle through Rescas and up the hill, you hear us use the words Monaco and Monte Carlo interchangeably. They are not quite. Oh, Haberfeld right out to that guardrail that we've already seen touched on a number of occasions. Monaco, of course, is the name of the principality, about a third of a mile long and a few hundred meters wide. You can walk completely around it in an easy afternoon. Monte Carlo is technically the name of the town, centered around this part, Casino Square. This is really Monte Carlo. Old Monaco sits atop the rock at the other end of the Principality, and on top of that, the royal palace of the Grimaldi family.
Well, I never knew views of the Formula 3000 race from here. Well, where are we now? Monte Carlo, under the tunnel. This is under the hotel. Out into that bright sunshine. Big crowd on hand. Of course, qualifying for the Formula 1 cars was just an hour or so ago. Yeah, I wonder if you could add up what those yachts would cost. Almost as much as these racing cars.
I'd like to know why they're all painted white. Where's the imagination?
Boy, Muller's giving him a hard time, isn't he?
There's the TV compound off to the right, which is actually set on floats at the harbor's edge.
Rascasse, very close contact there. Into the anti-no gaze.
Now there's Nicolas Chiesa's car. The PSM racing team, new to the series this year. Let's see what happened to him. This is Sandevote.
Oh, that's what happened to him. That's that left rear suspension. He's already had one successful clout at that earlier on. This time he really does it into the barrier at Sandevote, knocks the wing off, breaks the suspension, so the cranes come into action, and away goes the car, and Nicolas Chiesa's out.
So much for the gentle nature of the tire wall. Now, did I just see something come off the back of the car? One of the two cars in this battle looked like something.
Well, the rear wing end plate on Mauricio's car looked bent.
Haberfeld closing up, making this a three-way battle once again. See if we can get a closer look at Mauricio's rear wing. Well, we won't have time for that before the break as they head into the neighborhood of the rich and buoyant. We'll take a quick break and be back. See what we can discover about whether Ricardo Mauricio has a problem. Right now, he's able to draw away from Alex Mueller. We'll be right back to Monte Carlo. Welcome back to round 5 of the FIA Formula 3000 International Championship. 15 laps to go around the 2-mile circuit in Monaco, known throughout the world as the home and heartbeat of Grand Prix racing.
Yeah, it engenders still a love-hate relationship. Michael Schumacher loves it. David Coulthard loves it, of course, having won there this year. Ralf Schumacher hates it. Thinks it should be off the card, as it were.
Such a humorless fellow is young Ralph. On board with race leader Sébastien Bourdais. Picking up the battle between Ricardo Mauricio and Alex Mueller once again. Mario Haberfeld watching this from the white Astro Mega Lola. What would those apartments on the right go for?
I don't know. Today, a lot.
A lot, right? Exactly. You see that floating ship? Oh, of course, floating ship.
Well, let's hope it's floating.
Right, the ship floating out there in the harbor.
When it's not floating, it's no longer a ship.
That's right.
It's a wreck.
Can't get nearly as much. My point is, it's a lovely way to have a temporary apartment for the weekend. Just bring a big old boat out there and anchor it.
Fantastic.
Bring along all your friends and have a big old party. Riding along with Sébastien Bourdais. Hasn't put a wheel wrong yet today. Oh, here's a man who has. This is Enrico Toccacello, the Italian. Was running third.
This is Sandevote again. Gets it wide. Almost exactly the same as Chiesa. Boom! Into that tyre barrier on the outside. And his day is done. Cranes coming to the rescue again. So Toccacello has had pretty mixed fortunes this year, really. He's currently lying, oh golly, he's way down there. He's only got 3 points.
Boy, credit these track marshals under a local yellow. Nobody's slowing down much either.
Yeah. Somebody's smoking there by the look of it.
Is that Mauricio?
Mauricio's car. We've seen it dropping bits of debris. Oh, wow. Mueller right under the wing.
Of course, these cars are not equipped with horns, and I think that's what Alex Mueller... just made him cross-eyed in anger. On board with Bourdais. Famous big screens up to the driver's right that the late Ayrton Senna once said he used to watch to follow those behind him and tell how big his lead was.
Unlike the Formula One drivers, these guys, even though it's a sequential gearbox, they still have to actually put their hand on the gear lever and take it up. Oh, Mauricio locking up there as they come out of the swimming pool complex down to Rascasse.
Remember the start-finish line again? You saw that highway sign leading to the Autostrada down to Nice, just down the coast in France on the other side of Cap d'Antibes. My old television partner Danny Sullivan now has a home. So I guess there's hope for all of us.
I guess. But a pretty slim hope, I suspect, in my case.
Mauricio still sliding around under pressure from Mueller, who looks down the inside at Mirabeau. Oh, boy. Definite damage to the rear wing of Ricardo Mauricio's car. One of the end plates is broken.
Do you think it got hit by the wheel of Muller's car at some stage? It's hard to look high enough.
Don't know. Well, here's Thomas Enge. Debris on the road ahead. Heads up. And this is Toccacello, not Enge, and the end of his spin into the Sandevote tire wall. Back to Mauricio, Muller, and Haberfeld. This is a bit like the race we saw in Barcelona, where Giorgio Pantano shadowed Sebastian Bourdais lap after lap after lap on his gearbox before he finally got the Frenchman to make a mistake. Mueller is hoping Mauricio will do the same. And once again, Haberfeld almost gets to that fence in the Anthony Noguet corner with his left rear.
Mauricio is certainly having to drive here right at the edge of his capacity, I would say, to hold Muller off.
33 down, 12 to go. Flashing toward the casino, past the former site of Rosie's Bar, sadly no longer in existence. Sorry to be navigating by watering holes, but that's the way it is on Grand Prix weekend in Monaco. Welcome back to Monaco. Bob Varsha and David Hobbs with you, watching the leader, Sebastian Bourdais from the Supernova team here in round 5 of the FIA Formula 3000 Championship. Best battle on the racetrack is right here. Ricardo Mauricio trying to keep young Alex Mueller behind him.
So far being successful, but boy, he's having to drive pretty hard to do it. Haberfeld lurking in the background, hoping these two guys are going to take each other out. Up to Sandevote, hard on the brakes. You can see lots of signs of braking there. We've already seen 3 cars demise there. We've also seen Chiesa go down the escape road there before he hit the guardrail. So Sandevote's a tricky corner. It's a very fast approach, and it's a tight right-hander.
We had a quick look at Austrian Patrick Freisecker running in second place to Sebastian Bourdais. Now we go back to his Red Bull Junior teammate, Ricardo Mauricio, still with mirrors full of Alex Mueller.
Mueller had a thought about it then at Mirabeau. He keeps on trying at Mirabeau. It's a dangerous spot, though. That you got to get it right.
There's Ricardo Sperifico. We had 20 starters in today's race. 8 are currently still circulating. We've had that kind of attrition here in round 5. Along the harbor side, Mauricio, Mueller, and Haberfeld. The series has produced a number of great champions, many of them in Formula One racing, including one Pablo Montoya. His teammate at Williams, Ralf Schumacher, raced in a Formula 3000 based series in Japan called Formula Nippon. There's also a European Formula 3000 series running primarily in Italy.
Sandevote again up the hill. The other thing about Sandevote is it's a medium speed right-hander, very fast approach, and you've got to get it right because you've got this long uphill run and you want to try and maintain momentum up there, even though you can't do much with it at the end because you go around the corner there, the Massenet and into the Casino Square. Here he goes down the inside from Mirabeau again. Boy, I tell you what, he's going to be.
You see tears coming there, don't you?
You can. Mauricio's got his rear wing deranged, and I keep looking for the front wing
on Mueller's car.
On Mueller's car to get really deranged.
Here's your race leader, Sebastien Bourdais. Another thing about that climb from Saint-Devote, much of it is blind. You can't see over the brow on the roadway or around these Armco fences. It takes a great deal of courage to drive this place quickly.
Practically all the corners are pretty well blind, really, and some of them are very fast blind, the tunnel being one of them. I mean, you know, you go in there, by the time you come out, you're doing, well, by the time you're halfway through, you're doing 150, and you can't see the rest of the tunnel. I mean, there's absolutely no time at all if anything should go wrong.
Rascasse that has claimed a couple of cars. Shot through the fence there at Anthony Noguet. We've seen a couple of cars bang into the Armco barrier there.
Pity we weren't looking at that camera when they clipped the rail.
Exactly.
That'd make you jump, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm. Surprised the camera's still there, actually. Let's see some more of that smokiness going up the hill, coming from Mauricio's car, I believe.
It seems to be okay, though, when it's going down here. You can't see any here, even though the sun's shining. So if there was any smoke there, I think you'd see it, but it's definitely smoking going up the hill. That end plate is, I'll tell you what, that end plate's rubbing on the tires, what that smoke is.
I think you're right.
And it's rubbing on the way up the hill.
Good shot there of that heavy braking area into the trackside, excuse me, the harbor side chicane.
Where's that? Yeah, you can see the tire mark. You can see the mark on the tire where the ring. Luckily for him, it's on the top of the tire, the surface of the tire, as opposed to the side wall. Right. You can see that black stripe around that his right rear tire.
Mueller getting so close.
And as he goes up the hill and the car settles on the suspension with the acceleration up the hill and the speed, it's just enough to make it smoke. Mueller watching that, I just think, somewhat anxiously.
6 laps to go. Roughly 12 miles to the checkered flag. The running order is Bourdais, Freisacker, each man running alone. Enga pretty much on his own piece of racetrack. Then Pizzonia, Ricardo Sperafico, and then this battle. The final points bank position is held by the Red Bull Junior team driver Ricardo Mauricio. Alex Mueller in the Durango Formula car wants it. This battle looks like it'll go all the way to the checkers. Stand by for more from Monaco. Welcome back to the closing laps of round 5 of the International Formula 3000 Championship. Big crowd in Monte Carlo watching these young drivers in these very, very equal cars. Spec chassis, engines, and tires. And right now, we're looking at the battle for the 6th and final points-paying position in this race. Ricardo Mauricio of Brazil from the Red Bull Junior team has it. Alex Mueller in the light blue Durango Formula Lola wants it. And Mario Haberfeld in the white Astro Mega machine is there in 8th place as well. Just 4 laps to go.
Up the hill once again. Boy, these guys have been locked in absolute combat, haven't they?
That they have. There's the race leader, Sebastien Bourdais, who took his 4th pole position in 5 races this year and has imperiously just driven away from this world-class field of drivers.
Down to the grand hairpin again. Boy, they're close. Looking a bit twitchy, but not too bad at this late stage in the race. Pretty hot. Track surface hot, so tire wear will be pretty high, but of course they're fairly hard tires, these spec tires on these Avons, to make sure that they don't have tires don't become a significant part of the equation, as it were.
Get Mueller
chicane.
right on Mauricio's gearbox.
Haberfeld watching with interest.
Mueller beginning to run out of time. Oh, looks down the inside. Can't get it done there. Around the swimming pool. Around the TV compound. Heading to Rescas.
Oh, nudged him there. I'm sure he gave him a bit of a push.
A bit more tire smoke from that bent rear wing end plate on the right side that's rubbing on Ricardo Mauricio's right rear tire. 3 to go. Into Casino Square. Past the grand entranceway to the Hotel de Paris.
Down the inside again at Mirabeau. He keeps on trying it, but just can't make it work.
Heard some tire squeal there. I think Mueller. Oh, Mueller into the back of Mauricio, who straight lines the chicane. Does Mueller have a problem? No, I think not.
But Haberfeld's right with him now, so Haberfeld's going to be trying to capitalize on that lack of inertia.
Here's another look.
Oh, locked him up there. Big time lock up. Boom, hits the back of the car, pushes him over the chicane. Bits of body work and debris flying in all the directions there.
There might have been some rubber too. I'd like to see the nose of Mueller's car and his front wing. Well, it's a hard way to earn a gap. But, and Haberfeld hits the corner again at Anthony Noguet.
Haberfeld was having such a good run there. He wasn't in the points, but look, it just gets wide, up the curb, boom, front end hits the wall, bounces back, rear tire hits it, so I would say that car is pretty shot after that.
Didn't appear to do too much damage. We'll see if he can limp it around with only 1 lap remaining. This is the race leader, Bourdais, on his final lap.
Very serene run for Sébastien Bourdais. As you've said before, 4 pole positions out of the 5 races so far this year, and just made this one look real easy, the most difficult one of the lot probably. Had a very unfortunate run just a week or so ago in Austria, qualified poorly, and paid the penalty by being taken out on the very first lap.
Well, we've talked about him through the previous 4 rounds. A terrific young driver with very little personal sponsorship, former protege of 4-time world champion Alain Prost. But at the rate Bourdais is going, he could get to this championship, and surely someone, somewhere in the world of elite open-wheel motorsports would take this Frenchman on.
Down through to back for the last time in the swimming pool complex.
Final time around the swimming pool, headed for Rescas. Air horns beginning to blare around the circuit. A lot of his French countrymen cross the border into the Principality to cheer him on. And you see the crewmen applauding over the pit wall as Sébastien Bourdais becomes the first driver this year to collect 2 victories in the FIA Formula 3000 Championship. A great drive from beginning to end, beginning with pole position. Here comes the Austrian, Patrick Freisacker, in the Red Bull car, locking up the wheels, knowing he has nobody behind him. He will unofficially take 2nd place. Bourdais waving to the corner workers and the crowd. We'll take a break. Oh, I see Alex Mueller come across the line, but no sign of Mauricio. We'll be back. Back at Monte Carlo, here's a look at the final trip through Rescas and what happened to Ricardo Mauricio as Alex Mueller gave him a bump from behind and passed.
And then Mauricio tries to pay the compliment back and does the same thing, runs into the back of him at Nogues, but of course puts himself off the road.
As you can see by that tire stripe across the accumulated rubber, he had no ability to turn the car, and he is not to see the checkered flag. Meanwhile, there is our pole sitter and race winner, Sébastien Bourdais, trying to find his way to the royal box. to accept the trophy from Prince Renier's family. FIA official Herbie Blash there pointing him in the right
I
direction.
couldn't think of his name. He had a complete mental block. That's right, old Herbie Blash.
That's why I'm here, Sunshine.
That's right, yeah, there, exactly.
A great, great victory anytime you can win on the streets of Monte Carlo.
Boy, I'll say, yeah, this is a tricky racetrack. There's Patrick Freisacker taking the second spot. No doubt extremely happy with that.
Best performance of his season to date. Whoops. Stand up there, young Patrick. And here is our third place finisher, Thomas Enga, after a tough drive. He too attempts to fall backwards off of the podium. Actually, I don't believe I see any member of the royal family up there. At any rate, the victory holds for Sebastian Bourdais, Freisacker second, Enga third. He'll move up well in the championship. Antonio Pizzonia picks up his best finish of the season in fourth, as does his teammate Ricardo Sperafico in fifth, followed by Mario Haberfeld, who was the third man in that battle and out of the points until Alex Mueller and Ricardo Mauricio had their coming together, for which Alex Mueller has been disqualified out of sixth place.
Well, that seems to me to be a bit draconian. I mean, when he ran to back of Mauricio, it looked like more like a racing accident, but when Mauricio ran to back of him, it definitely wasn't a racing accident. But look at the point system now.
Sebastian Bourdais with a 3-point advantage over Thomas Enga, who has now scored in the last 4 rounds of the championship, followed by Pantano and Sperafico. In the team's championship, Arden International took the lead at the last race in Austria and holds it despite the win by Supernova driver Sebastian Bourdais. 7 of the 10 teams in the championship have now scored points. Nordic has not, despite being the defending team champions. A very happy podium. Bourdais in the middle, Enga on the right, and Freisacker out of screen to the left. And now it's time for the spraying of champagne, and all the VIPs back away.
Silly boys, what a waste of mums. Sebastian Bourdais running away so he can spray his crew.
After all, I only have so many $4,000 suits in the closet. Can't be getting out for the champagne. Our next race will be coming from the European Grand Prix at the Nürburgring in Germany next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, with re-airs to follow on Monday, the 30th of December. So join us then. I'm Bob Varsha for David Hobbs. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on the FIA Formula 3000 Championship Trail here on Speed Channel. So long.